Bonjour, comment ça va? I watched 5 faith-based films part 2, and here's my thoughts, recommendation, and basic review of them. The first movie that I watched was Hacksaw Ridge, and I didn't know it was faith-based at all. I didn't even know this movie existed. I'm pretty sure I saw edits of this movie in the past, but I didn't know it was related to faith at all. But a couple of friends recently recommended this movie to me, and so I was very excited to watch this movie. But then I realized it's a war film, and I don't like war films at all. They look sad, they look dramatic, and I don't like gore. I don't like seeing blood. I don't like seeing violence. I don't like seeing people in pain. So I was wanting to avoid this film, but then I was like, okay, if so many people are talking about this film, and if so many people are saying the faith-based elements is amazing in this film, let me give it a try. So I started watching the film really blind, not knowing much of anything of the plot, but I ended up enjoying it. So Hacksaw Ridge is based on a true story. It's based on this man named Desmond and how he did not want to fight in the war at all. He had that conviction that he didn't want to use violence, he didn't want to fight, but instead he wanted to attend the war as a medic, someone that would actually help the soldiers and help treat them and support them. And that premise seems really interesting because I haven't really heard of this before. This was my first time hearing about this. What I really liked about this movie was obviously the quality, the actors that got to play in this movie. I know that, what's his name? It's this guy who played in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. I'm gonna remember his name at some point. I loved the cinematography as well. The quality was quite amazing. I didn't expect the romance aspect to be such a big part of the film. Like, I was just expecting it to be completely just based on the war. But I was pleasantly surprised. Like, the romance really got me. I loved his relationship with his wife. I didn't expect the romance to be so beautiful and so cute. Like, I caught myself so many times throughout the movie just saying "aw" every time they were on screen. So I really liked that they got to show us that. Also loved Desmond's character so much. The main character, wow, it's hard not to like him. Like, by the end of the movie, I wanted to be like him. This movie makes you feel so inspired at the end. I didn't expect it would be that inspirational. I thought it was gonna be a sad movie, but it didn't really make me feel sad at all. Yes, I was on the brink of tears at certain parts, but it was actually because of how beautiful storytelling was, how beautiful we got to see his character journey. I also like the fact that it showed us how brutal the war was. Of course, I don't like gore, I don't like violence, I don't like blood, but I like the fact that we got to see how brutal and realistic this war must have been. It looked scary, it looked terrifying, and I think that's what helped me even like his character even more. Just seeing his bravery, his persistence, his endurance, and how he was willing to put himself on that battleground for other people. The faith-based elements were absolutely beautiful. For some reason, I thought that the faith-based elements were going to be kind of just, splattered here and there, but it was quite a lot of it. Desmond is somebody quite strong in his faith, in his convictions. That's one of the reasons why he didn't want to fight at the war. And just seeing how much he relied on God and prayer, and everything was just so inspiring and so beautiful. There's this one scene where he makes this beautiful prayer that I loved it. I feel like that was a part where I was so close to tears. I absolutely loved this movie so much, and I loved it more towards the end, where at the beginning I really enjoyed and loved the movie so much. I can't think of a criticism, but what I can say is there was a slight bit of nudity. Not really. There's just one guy who's a part of the army slash soldier people, where he kind of is nude for a couple of minutes or seconds, but you don't really see anything in the audience though. There's also a couple of cussing here and there that, if I'm not mistaken, there was a few, swear words here and there being used. But besides that, I really did enjoy the movie so much, and I'll give this movie a 8.5/9 out of 10 because I want everybody to watch this movie. Next is Sound of Hope, and Sound of Hope is about this pastor and his wife, and one day after a tragedy happens in her life, she gets this awakening to want to adopt kids from the foster care system. While these kids are kids known for going through abuse or that had so much trauma beforehand, so these are basically one of the most difficult kids that not a lot of people would want to adopt, and she convinces her husband and convinces the church to adopt more kids. I believe the church, I think it was 22 families adopted 77 children, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I didn't even know this was a real thing. Like, this is based on a true story, by the way. So that was absolutely insane to find out. What I did like about the movie is the cinematography was really good. I like the fact that we got to see the story through the lens of Donna, who is the main character, the wife of the pastor, her passion, her love for these children, and her perseverance. Oh my gosh. I always loved the idea of adopting and helping orphans so much. So this movie was right up my alley. But I just love the fact that it got to show us the hardship as well of adopting. It's not something easy at all, specifically if you're adopting kids that went through trauma, went through pain, have been abandoned, been emotionally neglected in some type of way, or physically neglected. It's not something that's really easy and simple. I like the fact that this movie took us through that journey of her navigating this desire to kind of be these kids' mothers, but we got to see how they grew from that. It was such a beautiful, beautiful story. I love the fact that they showed that. I love the fact that we got to see a bit of the kids' trauma as well. Honestly, this just being a true story was absolutely insane, but I loved it so much. I like the fact that we started with Donna's POV and we ended with it. I like the fact that we got that consistency, but we also got to see the church communities and how they were also struggling. One thing, I don't know if there's anything I didn't really like about it, but I would mention that there was this one scene that caught me off guard. it's not, it's hard for me to explain, but if you watch the movie, you probably know what scene I'm talking about. That scene caught me off guard. There was a couple of cussing here and there, maybe once or twice. I don't think I really had a problem with it. I think it came mainly from the adopted child, which kind of made sense in my head because I don't think she had the faith at all. But other than that, the movie is really, really beautiful and I loved it so much. And I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. Next up is I watched Chariots of Fire, and I didn't even know this movie existed. I would have actually never even found this movie if I googled faith-based films because it's quite old. I don't remember when it was made. I think 1970 something, or I don't think it was the 80s. It felt like the 70s, but it's quite an old film, which honestly was quite nice and quite refreshing. So Chariots of Fire is about these two guys. One of them is wanting to run the Olympics because of their faith, and then the other one wants to run the Olympics because he wants to prove wrong the prejudice against him. So they have two different motivations of why they want to run the Olympics, and one of these guys wrestles wanting to run in the Olympics because it happens during the Sabbath, which he doesn't want to run the race. That's basically the plot of the movie, if I'm not mistaken. I love this movie. Maybe it was also because it was made so many years ago that it was quite refreshing. The cinematography, the filmmaking back then was so different. Like, there's this one shot scene that I really, really liked. I liked the music, I liked the pacing, I liked the characters also so much. It was a bit slower than you see a lot of movies today, but I actually enjoyed it. It was quite refreshing. I was pleasantly surprised by the movie as well. I like the fact that we got to follow two people's different POVs, two very different people as well. There's one guy who is so committed to church work, I believe he was an evangelist, if I'm not mistaken, who is really doing this because he wants to glorify God through his running. And this other guy who's just really ambitious and wants to prove people wrong. And his motivations are quite different. And I like the fact we got to follow both of them. And at some point, you also get to see them meet. And I love that so much. And we got to see these two storylines intertwine in such a really good way. I also like the movie so much because I used to do athletics and I love athletics so much. So this movie made me realize how much I miss and love athletics and how much I want to do athletics again. I love running, and just seeing this in a new context was quite refreshing. Another thing that I really liked about this movie is that even though it's a faith-based film, I love the fact that it was in a unique way. You don't really get lots of faith-based films that are like that. I know there's so many faith-based films that are on sports, like you probably see countless, but this was quite unique. I like their approach to the story. I don't know if the story is fictional or if it's based on a true story. I'll probably click here and show that it's based on a true story or not. But if it is based on a true story, that's absolutely no, it is because at the end they wrote by the credits, they wrote about how it is based on a true story and how the man eventually died or something like that and became something. I forgot what. So yes, it is based on a true story, and I really, really enjoyed that movie. I would highly recommend anyone to watch that movie. It's so inspirational. One thing that really convicted me about this movie is just his commitment to want to honor God and respect his convictions. I kept on comparing this movie with Hacksaw Ridge because it felt so similar to each other in a way. You know, Hacksaw Ridge, this man had his conviction and he listened to that conviction, and ultimately it ended so well for him. And then as well as this other guy who also has this conviction, he doesn't want to run the Olympics at this certain day because it convicts him. It's not something that he wants to do. And I was just admiring how they were willing to let go of opportunities, willing to go against the crowd, go against what's popular for Jesus. And I was like, that's really inspirational. I really feel like you enjoy both those movies if you want to get something inspirational, something new, something that's not exactly the typical mainstream Christian movie, but has really strong message of faith and relying on God. I really think you enjoy both those movies, and I believe I gave this movie a 8.5/9 out of 10 as well because I loved it so much. Next is I watched the Chronicles of Narnia, and so I'm gonna talk about Narnia as a whole, not just breaking down each individual movie, because I did reactions on each movie as well as I did a review, an in-depth review and discussion on each movie where I break down scenes and parts that I really, really liked. So you can just check that out if you want to see my more in-depth review. The Narnia movies, I did not know that the Narnia movies were faith-based at all, but I love C.S. Lewis, and so because I trusted in his work, I was so interested to see, okay, how would he use faith-based elements in a very popular fantasy series. I never watched the Chronicles of Narnia until this very time, like until this age. This was my first time watching it, and I made a reaction video on that as well, and I enjoyed the movies. Basically, the Chronicles of Narnia follow these kids. One of them finds a wardrobe, and when they enter inside, it leads to this place called Narnia. You just get to see their adventures and see their journey and growth as they mature into older teenagers and adults, and it was absolutely amazing. The things that I really liked about it is that it felt really new. I love the Christian symbolism as well as the faith-based symbolisms used in the story, and I thought that that's such a beautiful creative way to show how we can incorporate faith-based elements in movies but still make it entertaining, still make it fun, still make it enjoyable, still make it high stakes and engaging, and something that kids and all people and people of all ages honestly to enjoy. I love that so much about the Chronicles of Narnia, and I enjoyed every moment of it. Just to break down a little bit each movie, the first movie is the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I love that movie so much, and I kind of wish that I watched that movie when I was much younger. I know I would have enjoyed it so much more, but that movie was such a beautiful start. The faith-based elements, oh, I couldn't stop talking about it in my review, and I would love for you to watch that review because I had a lot to say. Second is Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. That movie was really nice. It was nice to see the kids a bit older as well. Got to see Prince Caspian. He's an interesting and nice character. We got to see Peter, Lucy, Susan, Edmond, all of them grow up, and that was so. I love this movie. Like, my mental debate is whether this movie or the first movie, which one's better. I'm like competing myself. Was it the first movie? Was it this movie? It was so good. There were some parts that could have improved, but I really did overall enjoy this movie so much. And lastly, the Chronicles of Narnia 3, the Voyage of the Dawn Trader, I believe. I think that's the title of it. That movie shocked me. It felt very different from the last two movies, the first two movies, not the last two movies. It felt very different. It felt slightly darker. There were moments where I actually did get scared at some parts, but at the end, it felt so worth it. I feel like when I actually got to finish the movie, I enjoyed it so much because it felt like a beautiful kind of wrap, like it kind of added a bow to the whole theology, and it was so good. I love the faith-based elements in it a lot. I had a lot to say, and I really want you to just see my reaction if you want to hear more of my thoughts. But I liked the third movie as well. There were moments where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I don't know. This is so different. Like, there was a new character that we get introduced to where I was like, this new character is being really unbearable right now. like I really did not like that new character, but eventually he grew on me a little bit and got to see his character development as well. And overall, I love the movie because of all the lessons you can learn from it. I enjoyed it so much, and I honestly think that it was not that bad. I don't know, maybe it's so because I'm watching it when I'm older, so I guess I could see the mature aspects of it. But I guess when you're a child, you'll be like, yo, this is boring. It's not as adventurous. It's not really as action packed and high stakes. Okay, it was kind of high stakes, but it's not as action packed as the first two movies, or more adventurous as the first two movies. It feels different. That's what I can say. But I think being someone as an adult now, I can see the beauty and maturity in that last movie. It kind of felt like it felt like a coming of age. Like you got to see these kids grow up, and now this more mature aspect to it. So I really, really enjoyed that as well. I give this whole series a 8/8.5 out of 10. So that's all my reviews. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts, then I would suggest that you watch my videos and my reactions on each and every movie that I mentioned here. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Which of these movies have you watched that I just mentioned? Which movies have you never heard about? If you have never heard about any of these movies, that's a good thing, because my goal is to promote more faith-based films. Faith-based films don't have to be boring. They don't have to be cringy. They don't have to be cheesy. And I know there's so many good gems out there that can both encourage your faith and entertain you. And I really hope that we can have a conversation in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Au revoir. À bientôt.